Good morning, everyone. I am Ranger Renee, one of the park rangers here at Hammocks Beach State Park. For those that have met me, the topic I'm going to talk to you guys today about might be one of my favorite topics I like to talk about. And if you met me here at the park and heard this program, you probably know that I've talked about this program many times here at the park. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the wonderful world of box turtles. Box turtles. So what exactly are box turtles? Well, if we think about box turtles as a bigger picture, they are a type of reptile. What other animals out there fall in the category of reptiles? We have what? Snakes, we got lizards, we got alligators in this area, and we also have turtles. Well, what makes a reptile a reptile? Do you know? I wonder if my little friend George the box turtle knows. What makes you a reptile? He told me, well, I'm cold-blooded. What does it mean to be cold-blooded? Well, that means that they are able to regulate their body temperature to the temperature that is around them. So if they get a little too hot, they might have to go and burrow into some cool mud to cool their bodies down. If they get a little too cold, they might have to go into more of a sunshine area to help warm the insides of their body. Well, hi, George. They also lay eggs, so no matter where they live, they have to find some sort of land to burrow a little hole and lay some eggs there. They also have lungs like you and I, so they do breathe air like how we are doing right now. And if you look at the different reptiles, their skins, they're going to have some sort of scales, or with turtles, a part of their body, they have what are called scutes, and that helps protect the shell of their body there. So our box turtles that we have here in North Carolina are called eastern box turtles, or terrapin, Carolina. And I have one of our eastern box turtles here. This is George, our box turtle. So our eastern box turtles, they can be found mainly in the forests. That is where they're going to be predominantly found. That is where their shelter is, that's where their water is, and that's where their food is there. Being in the woods, they're not going to have the bright colors that you might find on other animals in the area. A lot of their colors are going to be more of a brown to a yellow color, just to help with the camouflage protection that they have to go by sometimes there. So when you are walking in the woods and you see a turtle cross your path, and you looking at the area, and you are looking at that, you know you have an eastern box turtle. You're gonna like, well, do you know if you have a girl or a boy? Well, there's seven different ways that you can tell if you have a girl or a boy. And the first way is, if you're lucky, their head might be poking out. And if they're looking at you, try to look at their eyes. If you see their eyes are a bright fire engine red color, more than likely you're going to have a boy. Girls tend to have more of a yellowish, brownish, not so as exciting color eye there. Also, their scales and their scutes on their bodies. Boys, especially in the springtime, when they're looking for a mate, they like to be more brightly colored. So if their front legs, like what George is showing you now, is going to be more of a bright orange color. Their face on males is going to be a bright orange, even to a bright yellow color. And sometimes their shell are going to have a beautiful bright yellow orange color there. Females are not going to be as brightly colored. They're going to be more of a brown to a dull yellow, because they don't want to be as brightly colored. Why? What could the females have in their bodies? You guessed it, they could be hiding the eggs. And they don't want to let the predators out there know where they are because they're trying to protect their eggs inside their bodies there. The shapes of the shells between girls and boys are a lot different as well. Girls typically have a higher domed top part of their shell, which we call a carapace. That allows a little bit more room for them to have their eggs inside their bodies. The boys, their shells tend to be a little bit more flat. Now if I show George's carapace here, do you see how the back marginal scutes here, the outer part of his carapace are? Boys tend to have a lot more flare coming out there from their shell, and the girls, their marginal scutes are going to typically be more straight down, and that goes back to what I previously said, how they have a little bit extra room for their eggs to be in their bodies there. On the underside of their shell, we call this the plastron. One great indicator to know if you have a girl or a boy is to look towards the bottom part of their plastron. Now, if we have a boy, they're going to have a nice little concave dimple. I think of your dimples in your cheeks. It's a nice little concave dimple, indent on their plastron, and that helps boys with the mating with the females. The females, their plastron is going to be more straight. You're not going to see that indentation there on their shell. Now, the last couple ways to tell if you have a girl or boy is also looking at their hind legs. The back legs on a box turtle, they have 4 toes. If you can see their claws, look at how their claws are shaped. The boys are going to have more of a curved, thicker claws, and that helps with the mating process as well. Girls are going to have more straight toes because what do the girls use their back legs for? To help dig their nest. So having the longer straight nails, that helps them dig their little nest cavity in the ground there and helps them cover it up as well. And the last way to tell if you have a girl or boy is looking at their tails. Boys tend to have a longer tail, and the vent, the opening on their underside tends to be further away from their body. Boys are going to have more of a stunted tail with the opening closer to the insides of their body. Now I keep on talking about my friend George here. George, and he has a brother/sister, we're not sure yet. They're a little too young to tell if they're girls or boys. They are still juveniles. They were born back in 2011, just outside our visitor center here. Actually, right after a hurricane. We thought we lost the nest, but it was a miracle that they were discovered. So George this year is going to be 9 years old in September. It's his birthday, so we're really excited about that. Next year will be the double digits. Yes. So George is very used to people, but in the wild, if you come upon a turtle, they might be very scared of you. And one cool thing that box turtles can do is they can go completely in their shell. I have an empty shell here that was found in the woods several years ago. But if you look inside, you'll be able to see a nice opening that the turtle's body can go in there. So if George was to get scared, he could bring his head in, his 2 front legs here, his 2 back legs would go in the back with his tail. And this is the plastron. It has a nice hinge, and so when they go in their shell, they can close the top part of that plastron and have a nice tight seal. So if he's scared of me, if he's scared of a raccoon or a fox, it would be very difficult for the animal or for us to try to open it up. And that is one way that they have to protect themselves there. Now with George, you look really carefully you can see his hinge right here. And he just developed that hinge about 3 years ago. So before that, he wasn't able to go in his shell. The way that, when they're this young, the way that they're able to protect themselves from any predators out there, look at the color of George. He's still really young, so he doesn't have the bright colors that you think of with an adult shell. And so being this dull brown color, he is able to maybe dig a little hole in some mud or some leaves, and the camouflage color will help protect him there. Also, he can stay very, very still. And so if a raccoon's walking down the trail or one of us is walking down the trail, they wouldn't be moving, and it would be very difficult for us to see them there. So, but as I said, I mean, looking at George, he's not afraid of us. He's very used to people. He's been with us since day one. They are very slow growers. Believe it or not, when he was born, his shell was about the size of a quarter. So yes, he has grown quite a bit since he was born. And if he's really lucky, he'll be able to live anywhere from 50 to 100 years if he's really lucky. What does George like to eat? Well, he likes to eat what other box turtles in the wild would eat. One of George's favorite foods, we like to give him, I've seen tomatoes in there, and watermelon, strawberries, lettuce. He really likes his fruits and vegetables there. But if George was more in the wild, he would be eating more of the worms and the slugs and other insects, flowers. He would be eating that, any of the leafy vegetation out there as well. There's an awesome project going on, which we have been a part of since 2015, and it's called the Box Turtle Connection. A lot of you out there have participated with us in the past and helped us track how many turtles we have here in the park. But this is a 100-year project, at least a 100-year project, that we're hoping to get a better understanding of what's going on with the box turtles. Due to many factors of habitat loss, of disease, of accidentally get hit on the road by a vehicle, a lot of factors out there that the populations of box turtles are starting to go down. Through this study, we're trying to get a better understanding of where these turtles are and what we can do to better help them out. So far since 2015, we've tracked over 75 turtles just in this park. We're hoping to expand that number in the upcoming years there, and we try to do as much as we can to help the turtles out. And what can you do to help the turtles out? So if you are in your neighborhood street and you happen to see a turtle cross the road and you're like, oh, you don't want it to get hit by a car, and you want it to help save the turtle, what you can do is, if it's safe to do so, you can pick up that turtle and help it go the same direction across that street. You don't want to bring it back to originally where it came from. You want to go the same direction, because there's a reason why it's going that direction, and that is one way you can help save the turtle. Trust me, on our park road, I have done it many of a time to help save a turtle there. So if you have any questions for me about our box turtles, especially with George the box turtle, comment below, and at my nearest convenience, I will be able to answer those questions for you. Thank you.